Alright, hey everyone, welcome once again to Omens. First thing you'll notice is I got my lighting set right, so now you can actually see me! Yay! Okay, and hopefully my cards, that's the important part. Alright, so once again, I'm Ryan, I'm your host here on Omens, and today we are talking about the Fool. So yeah, third week, we're gonna do Major Arcana until I run out, and then it'll be Minors until we run out of that, and then we'll see what happens. But you know, that's not gonna be for quite a while if I keep up this pace. First thing, next week there is a fifth week. I decided because I'm gonna be out of town, I'm not gonna do anything for it. So we have 2 Sundays. Excuse me. Of nothing, and then we'll be back again on the second Sunday of September, which is calendar. Which is the 13th. So we won't be back again after this one until the 13th of September, and we'll be talking about the Two of Wands. But yeah, today we are talking about the Fool. So I think the structure for this, I'm going to go over some of the I'm going to start with the little parts, the separate parts of it that tie into it, and then we'll talk about the cards specifically. So anyway, most of us know the Fool. I mean, it's, besides death and maybe, yeah, I think that's it. Besides death, it's probably the most well-known card of the tarot deck. And I'm sorry for jostling the camera. I move a lot, and I have this set up on my bed, so I could probably set it somewhere else, but I don't feel like it. So anyway, so starting with the Fool, some of the different symbols of it. First and foremost, it's the 0 card in the Major Arcana. So it's a placeholder card. Most people put it at the beginning. There's a couple of different systems that put it at the end, and at least one, I pulled out my Magician's Companion to look stuff up for the Kabbalah, and found on the tarot there's a couple of different systems, one of which puts the Fool at the end, one which puts it like, it doesn't call it the Fool, but maybe it does. It puts it like right before the World card, so that's interesting. I'll have to dig some more into that to figure out all that is. I really need to read that book. I have a lot of books I need to read. Anyway, I'm a bit of a book hoarder. So, and then of course my alchemy book that I have, the Path of Alchemy, puts it both at the beginning and the end of the Major Arcana. So it's a 0 card. So 0 is, it's a number, but it's not. It's, my numerology book called it, said it is not a number, it's a symbol. Yes and no, we use it as a number, but technically speaking, it is in fact more of a symbol to symbolize nothingness. Even when we use it in math, it's a placeholder more often than not. It's a placeholder, or it means, because you can't divide by 0, so it's nothing or it's everything. It's absolutely not. And if you take it in a fraction bar, you have your numerator and your denominator. I hope that's right. In your numerator, 0 is nothing. Okay, I about had that backwards for a second. I was about to say everything. I was like, wait, no, that's not right. So it's nothing. It means nothing. It's a 0 third is 0. A 0 half is 0. It's nothing. However, in the denominator, and the numerology book calls it everything. So, if I can remember my math off the top of my head, we all know fractions are kind of divisions, because that's another way of dividing. You can divide 2 divided by 4. And that's, or like 3 divided by 2, or what have you. So a fraction is a division. It's a part of a whole. And when you put a 0 in the bottom, you end up... You basically glitch the matrix. It's everything. It's not... Most whole numbers is... You can imagine it as, say, like a 2. A 2, a whole number. If you want to put it in a fraction, you would put it over a 1. Because a 1 is a single thing, so it's not a part of a... So this 2 isn't a part of a number, it's an entire number unto itself, so it goes over 1. And you put it over a 0, that's when you end up with infinity. And I'm not a math professor or anything, so that might be semi-wrong, but anyway. If there are any math heads watching this out there that might be able to give me a little bit more information on that, I'd appreciate it. Comment below. So yeah, 0 is... It's nothingness, it's everything, it's infinity, it's a placeholder, it's a symbol. In numerology, or at least Pythagorean numerology specifically, it's a symbol of spirituality and mysticism, or mystical spirituality, or spiritual mysticism, or what have you. In birth charts, or not charts, but the in birth numbers, like say the date, if someone say like me, I have 10 in my entire birth date. It is indicative of a degree of spiritual mysticism inherent but rarely obtained in an individual. So 0 can stand in place. So 0 is spirituality, mysticism, and all that. It's a degree that you can attain. That is possible for you to attain, I should say. So that kind of complements the Fool pretty well, because it's... Well, you know what? We'll get onto that. We're talking about the symbols here. So, spirituality and mysticism is 0. It's a placeholder, it's infinity, it's everything and nothing. It's the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end, all that stuff. So, the next part of the Fool card, we're going to start moving into the Kabbalah. So, first off, we have the Kabbalistic angel. It's actually one of the 72 angels. It's actually the first angel who symbolizes the Fool. It's Vahuya, the exalting god. And he is a they are a seraphim. Seraphim? Yes, seraphim. I totally know how to say this. I totally. Their verse is Psalm 3:4, if any of you care about that. I'm not a psalm musician, so I don't use psalmic magic, I'm assuming it's called, or Bible magic, or what have you. I just don't use it. So, but if any of you out there do, it's Psalm 3:4 is this angel's verse. His meaning here in the Angel Tarot is will and new beginnings. So, Vahuya is... You call upon them to assist with difficulties and great undertakings. So, if you've got something you're just about to start and you want to throw in a little angelic oomph in there, and and it's like this big thing, you're ready to take that dive off the cliff. Call up Vahuya to give you that assistance, that help, that extra push, what have you. They are... Anyone born under Vahuya is blessed with great wisdom and has a skillful nature. Vahuya is the sole guardian of those born from 12 a.m. to 12:20 a.m., the moral guardian of those born on March 20th, May 31st, August 11th, October 22nd, and January 2nd. Vahuya is the physical guardian of those born from March 20th to 24th. And like I said, they assist with difficult and great undertakings. Yeah. Alright, so that's Vahuya. Now, in the Kabbalah, and I'm not an expert on this, I think I'm actually getting a little more interested in it through this, so hopefully I'm planning to learn a bit more. I do like alchemy too, and it's, well, Kabbalah is strongly used in alchemy. In Kabbalah, the major arcana are the paths between the Sephiroth. The little balls of light we talked about in the Ace of Wands, how the first episode, how the aces are associated with Kether, the crown at the very top of the Tree of Life, and then it goes down. So there are 10 Sephiroth. I hope I'm saying that right. Let me pull out a picture. I like pictures. Do you like pictures? So, Sephiroth. The linens are on. So, those are your 10 Sephiroth. Yeah, you can't see it. So, aces are associated with the crown here, Kether. Now, however, those are the Sephiroth, and then I like this picture. It's a little confusing. Wow, no, actually I'm not going to use that one. It's too much. Let me go back here. Okay, there we go. Alright, so this is a picture of the Tree of Life, the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. So we have Kether here, and then we have another Sephiroth here, which is Chakma. So Chakma, wisdom. So the Fool, these little lines in between, these are the paths up and down the Tree of Life. They're the paths we follow when doing... it's something to do with mysticism. I'm not very well versed. I know that basically you can do astral journeying to follow, to find yourself in the Sephiroth and on the Tree of Life, and to follow it and understand something. Rather, some mystery that I'm not in on yet. I'll get there. But anyway, so the minor arcana are associated with each of the different Sephiroth, correct? So aces are associated with the Kether, twos are associated with Chakma. However, the paths are associated with the major arcana. So the Fool is the guardian or the card of the path from Kether to Chakma. So this path right here. So that is the Fool's path in Kabbalah. So the path between the crown and wisdom. It's the path which is, bring up my notes. It's the path that precedes form. So it's that in between, that formless. It's basically that light, that pure light of the crown has come down. It's coming down, because the path is the set journey too. It hasn't reached. It's in the middle. It hasn't actually reached a start or an end. So it's coming down. But whereas Chakma is form, or well, at least somewhere I read said it was form. Anyway, the Fool is that path in between. It's that freedom right before it's coming down from that purity, and it's starting to learn. It's starting to become a little denser, but it doesn't actually have a form yet. The path is pale yellow. It's known as the child of the primal void. It's freedom from limitation. You're basically coming down from that purity. You're starting to have thought and wisdom, but there's no form. It's that extra light and just that airy quality of starting to learn stuff. I want to say that first bite of the apple. You know, in the story of Adam and Eve, when Eve took a bite of that apple of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, it's that first bite, that first glimpse of understanding. And I don't know where I just came up with that. I might have just channeled that. That's kind of the feel I get. It's that path in between is that first. You're going from that pure innocence to you're starting to know stuff. It's that first click, that first plug-in of, oh, something exists. So it's pale yellow. It's associated with air and Uranus, and we'll get to that more because those are both the Fool associated with the Fool as well. It's just everything to do with outside the boundaries. It's that weird ass madman witch living on the edge of the village that we're pretty sure has a little cuckoo in the head, but he's got some good stuff. It's that innocence that just that first little bit. Yeah, I can't expound on it anymore. Uh, so. And in alchemy, and I took it from the Path of Alchemy, and there's a reason I have this book with me. So I took the direct quote. So the Fool, that was a weird transition. Let me go back a little bit. Okay, so Kabbalah is wow. Nope. Okay, so in the Kabbalah, the Fool is the path, or the guardian of the path, or associated with the path, between the crown and wisdom. It's that purity, that innocence, starting to just make that journey downwards into form, and it's taking that path of knowledge, of wisdom, of learning. So because there's like a bunch of different ways you can go up and down the tree of life, the Kabbalistic tree of life. Anyway, so and then tying onto that is the alchemy, which uses a lot of Kabbalah. And in alchemy, the Fool represents the aspiring alchemist early in their journey, filled with visions of what is possible and completely ignorant of the reality of the inner and outer work that awaits. So it's that first, it's literally that, the seeker, the first step out. That we see the image of the Fool is commonly, traditionally, that that young man just about to walk off a cliff. Carefree, completely just he's not worried about anything. He's just ready to go. He's just there's a grand old world out there. I'm gonna go get there, no matter what happens. So, so in alchemy, that's who the Fool represents. However, this is where it's interesting. In this one, not only does the Fool begin the Major Arcana, but he also ends it. Whoso begins the journey and completes it. The seeker who began in ignorance has acquired wisdom. This is the wise man and the fool in one. The alchemist at the beginning of the journey of the path of return completes it full of wisdom and grace. He is the Alpha and Omega. So the Fool is also wise, which makes sense. It's in that in between of innocence and purity and wisdom. He sits there on that path. It's when you hear the word Fool, you think somebody who's an idiot or just doesn't know anything. But there's also still that, even in our mind, connects to the archetype. Moving on, the archetype of the jester, the fool in the king's court, who wore the bright colors and just he did tricks and dances, and he made an absolute fool of himself. However, he was the only one of the king's court who was allowed, as far as we know, to pretty much say whatever he wanted. He could insult the king, he could insult the queen, he could insult the dignitaries, the foreign dignitaries, he could insult everyone, anyone, and make fun of it, because he was there to lighten the mood, to make people think. In that, in the story of the Emperor's New Clothes, there's basically this emperor who is full of himself and just absolutely loves getting dressed up, all the fancy new clothes, he always wants to new stuff. This con man comes in, and he basically tells him, I have this beautiful new cloth, it's gorgeous, and you can make anything of it. And he's like, and here it is. And the emperor's like, and he goes, oh, and I forgot to mention, by the way, only those who are wise can see this cloth. Only those who are smart or whatever can actually see this cloth. Anyone who thinks there's nothing here is a complete idiot, pretty much. And of course the king is like, oh yes, I see it. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. I love it. I want all my clothes to be made out of it. And all his advisors are like, Yeah, we see it, we are wise. And we see that cloth, and yes, of course, only an idiot would not see it. And so this con man's like, okay, cool. And he's like, I can sell all your clothes. So he gets a room, he gets food, he gets paid, and he spends months sewing an outfit completely out of this cloth. So in the end, the king's like, he still can't see this these clothes, this cloth, but he's just sitting there. Everybody's sitting there gushing over him, and Conman's probably having the time of his life. And so he puts on all these clothes, and he's like, we'll have a grand parade and show everyone. Now, everybody at this point has heard about this, because it's been months. They've heard about this cloth, and, like, only idiots can't see it. So he has a parade, and he's buck-ass naked. Parading down the street, and everybody's just like, oh, yeah, he looks gorgeous and beautiful, and blah, blah, blah. And this little kid sitting on his father's shoulders like, Dad, he's got no clothes on! And everybody just kind of stops and goes. and then the emperor gets beat red, and everybody starts laughing because they're just like, the kid's like, he doesn't have any clothes on, and everybody knows it, but nobody's, even the emperor knows it, but nobody's wanted to say it because he basically thought that maybe, and then he dug himself into this grave, and now they're stuck. So everybody's got it's like that foot in the mouth, and you shoved it down the throat, and it's like you can't pull it up, and so this kid's just like, he's got no clothes on, and that's, everybody just loses it, and that's who the fool is. The fool is that little kid. He's the kid who goes, dude, your crown is crooked. It's the archetype of the fool is. He's just that child, that innocence and that wisdom all wrapped up into one. It's that pure, it's that, what is the word I'm looking for? That pure, untempered wisdom. It's just that first bite of the apple, the whole, it's that childish wisdom. It's that wisdom that says, oh, hey, that's bright and pretty. I want to play with it. Oh, hey, that burns. Huh, okay, fire's hot, it hurts. Okay. But that wisdom is right at that beginning. It's that childish wisdom that says, he's got no clothes on. So yeah, in alchemy, that's the beginning. And then he works through the fool's journey, the process of alchemy, all that past work. He comes out on the other side, and it gets tempered and refined and forged. But at the end, you return to that pure wisdom. It's like you've taken this lump of clay, and you've worked it, and you've molded it, and you've turned it into something gorgeous. But at the end, you know it's going to break down, so you put it back in that ball. And no, that's not quite a good analogy. So in alchemy, when you work through something, you start with a single substance. You start with, say, lead. It's a metal. So you start with lead. You burn it up, you break it down, you pull it apart, you beat it, you forge it, you just heat it and cool it, and you let it sit, and you let it rot, and then you bring it back, and you're forging it, and finally at the end, well, let's say iron instead of lead, because this makes slightly more sense. So at the end, you add stuff, you take it apart, you add stuff, you totally destroying it and rebuilding it back up, and at the end you end up with a steel sword. Or let's just say steel, because so you've gone from one form of the metal to a new, purer form, or purer. So that's how we get from one Fool, untempered, unforged, but still kind of pure and clean, its own way, put it through a bunch of stuff, and it comes out a new Fool. So that's the path of the Fool in alchemy. So with that long, interesting explanation, let's move on to the next part of the Fool. So the next part of the Fool is the astrology. So the Fool is associated with Uranus, the planet, who is the ruler of Aquarius. Um, so Uranus is in Greek mythology was the sky god. He was the embodiment of the sky, the air. He was the mate of Mother Gaia, the earth, and with her they produced the first monsters, the first titans. Eventually in mythos, Uranus was known to be a bit of a cruel ruler, and Kronos eventually cut off his genitals, let's go with that, and became the new ruler of the world, basically. There's a whole lot of stuff to it. I'm not going into the whole mythology. I think I already went into quite a few different stories. So, but yeah. So Uranus, the planet, and Aquarius and the Fool, all together. Well, let's go back to Uranus. Uranus is personification of the heavens. He is. You know what? That's why I have this book. Fucking written and all. Uranus is the planet of sudden and unexpected changes. It rules independence and originality. In society, it rules radical ideas and people, as well as revolutionary events that upset established structures. It displaces and overthrows any establishment that has outlived its useful lifespan. It's the planet of revolution and progress. So, one way you can see this is Uranus has been very strong in this past year of 2020. With the retrogrades, and I can't remember all the details off my head, but Uranus and Jupiter, but mostly Uranus are who we have to thank for a lot of the Black Lives Matter movement, all the rebellion coming up, just everything breaking down in structure, mostly because of the retrogrades. But basically, a lot of stuff that's going on this past year has been, if you want to look at the astrology of it, it's fascinating, and it's like, yeah, that's definitely the reason. Okay. So the glyph for Uranus, right there, is it looks like a satellite, and the planet is often associated with technological advancements and innovations. Uranus rules Aquarius, the sign of futuristic thinking, and the 11th house of the zodiac, where astrologers look for information about social groups and idealistic causes. It's also Aquarius and Uranus are also associated with lower legs, the ankles, and the circulatory system. Okay. So yeah, Uranus is the planet of freedom, revolution, rebellion, and reform. And it is assigned to the free-thinking Fool. Both are idealists, masters of initiation and change, fresh starts and new beginnings. Both think in terms of extremes. They're willing to destroy the old to make room for the new. Both are also regarded as eccentrics. They're unable or unwilling to meet customary norms and express expectations. So Uranus is that rebel that innovates. Aquarius is... Wow, I just went off on two different tangents at the same time. Sorry. Meh. So, let's start with Aquarius, because that's what I'm kind of trying to focus on right at the second. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, so it's very important to the Fool as well. It's the sign anyone who has any sort of planet in Aquarius, that in their chart is going to be where they are innovative and forward thinking and want to just do something new. Me, where's Aquarius in my chart? Do I have a planet in Aquarius? I don't think I do. But yeah, they're free thinkers. They're that push forward, the new technological advancements. That person who's gonna say, "Oh, what if we did blah blah such and such? What if we changed from this to this?" Yeah. Okay, so I don't actually have any planets in Aquarius, but it is in my first house. So, um, which means, which actually that's a little bit interesting in itself. So Aquarius in my first house tells me that. So the first house is your ego sign, correct? It's your sign of your house of self. It's how you are. So I got a couple of signs in my first house, but Aquarius means that me personally, I'm always looking to change myself, to always be new, be fresh, which is true. I am. I'm constantly re-examining myself and going, okay, I don't like this about myself, so what can I do instead? So like, just to put an example, I have a temper. I have a major temper. Um, and I inherited it from my dad. But I did not like my temper, especially since and basically, I get frustrated about the stupidest of things, and I wanted to take it out physically, and I did not like doing that. So I focused on that for a long while. I worked on, okay, I'm starting to feel angry. What can I do to change this? Um, what can I do instead? Instead of sitting here wanting to punch something, hmm, what can I do? Can I go walk? I take walks to cool off instead. I'd redirect myself basically until now. I'm really not all that angry of a person anymore. Um, so basically, I changed myself. I adapted and overcame. I didn't like something about myself, so I changed it. Um, so that's what Aquarius is. Aquarius goes, okay, bored. What can we do instead? Um, and that's Uranus, the planet, as well. Uranus comes in and goes, yeah, okay, this is looking pretty stagnant. Let's bring some fans in here and flip everything up on its head. So that's what Uranus does. That's where, and those are that's the planet who rule, and that's the planet who is the ruler of the Fool, which kind of so Aquarius isn't necessarily a ruler of the Fool. Aquarius actually rules a different Arcana card, but because Uranus and Aquarius are ruled by each other, they're twinsies, I guess you could say. Uranus rules Aquarius. Because Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, it brings some of that energy to the Fool. That's what I meant to say. Alright, so, I already went over the mythos. The archetype of the Fool, we went over a little bit of this, but, well, I thought we were this for a second, but I was actually where I have under the mythos, the Jester in the King's Court. So the archetype of the Fool is actually one of the 12, I believe, Jungian archetypes. All I saw when I looked it up was the 12 archetypes. I believe it's Jung. The archetype of Fool urges us to enjoy the process of our lives. It's just, it invites us to play. It's that childish innocence, that person that's like, yeah, okay, life sucks, but have you seen that flower there? And oh, look at that musician. He's got beautiful music, and oh, wow, that is a pretty sunset. It's like, yeah, life kind of sucks, but you know what? It doesn't have to be all work. It doesn't have to suck all the time. We can play around. We can have fun. We can enjoy ourselves. We can just, life is awesome. And honestly, I like that mindset. I have to remind myself on occasion that, you know, life is actually pretty awesome, and sometimes, in some ways. However, the shadow side of it can be a little bit prone to laziness and debauchery. overindulgence. It's what was that Greek? Oh, hedonists. um, Basically, those who are so entrapped in the pleasure, they just kind of get stuck in there. That's the shadow side of the archetype of the fool. That's just so stuck in the enjoyment of life that all they want from life is the pleasure. They refuse to accept the pain. They just pretend it doesn't exist. Um, which, but you can get stuck in that. You just, um, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but at the same time, where does all your pleasure come from? It's somebody has to create that pleasure, and if you're refusing to give back any of that pleasure to somebody else because you don't want to mess with the pain, somebody else is going to have to deal with that pain. To kind of go back to our hedonist lifestyle, the only way they could constantly keep a constant supply of food, that all they wanted, and I don't know if this is true, I'm just kind of making this up. The only way to keep that constant supply of food to keep their pleasure up is if those farmers are constantly working drudgery. They're just having to constantly till the land, and if they can't necessarily move their plots of land, switch around their crops to help keep the land healthy. If they're having to constantly grow and grow and grow, they can't let the land take a break. They can't keep it small area. They're having to. The only way they can make sure any plots of land get a break is if they spread and expand, and that's chopping down trees. That's killing habitats. That's making so that little hedonistic lifestyle of, oh, I want all this pleasure and I want to, let's say grapes. I want to constantly have grapes and wine, grapes or wine or whatever. Say if somebody, okay, let's just stick with wine. It's like, I want wine all the time. I want this specific wine, and I want it to be fresh, and I want that wine every day, all day. So, like, 3-4 glasses of it or something like that. Let's say 4 glasses. 4 glasses of wine, that's, I want to say, that's not quite a whole bottle. Let's say 4 glasses a day, so that's 7 days. So 4 times 7 is 28. So it's 28 glasses of wine. And if you want to say 4 ounces, 4 ounces for each glass, that's another 28 ounces for. Okay, I'm losing myself in my math, but anyway, you kind of see my point. That's at least, I'm gonna go with rounded up or down or something, guesstimate. I want to say 6. I'm gonna say 6 bottles. 6 bottles of wine a week. That's a lot of freaking grapes because it takes a good, like, I believe something like 10 pounds of grapes just to make like half a bottle. So let's say 50 pounds of grape a bottle. That is 50 pounds of grapes a bottle. This hedis wants, say, okay, maybe not 6. Yeah, 6. Let's say 6 bottles of wine per week. Let's just go with that. I'm screwing up my cups. I'm just getting rid of the cups. Just say 6 bottles a week, 50 pounds of grapes. That's 50 times 5 times 6 is 36. No, not 30. 30. So 300 pounds of grapes a week. 300 freaking pounds of grapes. That's a lot of grapes to grow, to crush, to juice, to stomp into a wine, to put in a barrel, to sit and let it age for at least a good year, if not long. I don't know how long it takes grape wine to age. Probably only a couple of months, actually. I do know how long it takes wine to age. I've made wine. Okay. So anyway, but that's a lot of grapes. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of work just for so many bottles of wine. So that farmer, going back to farmer, that farmer is having to constantly be growing grapes all the time. They need a lot of land for as many grapes because that's like 300 a week, 300 pounds a week. Times 52. Okay, we're gonna pull out the calculator to make this faster. Calculator. I don't know why I'm getting so into this, but, whatever. 15,600 pounds of grapes a year. Approximately. 15,600. That's a lot of freaking grapes. So you're probably going to need more than one vineyard just for as many bottles of wine as this hedonist wants. There's not even this hedonist, this person who wants everything to be just pleasurable all the time, great, life makes you happy and great. And that's just the wine. That's just the wine. They don't want to work. They want all their food brought to them. That's a lot of food, a lot of wine, a lot of whatever the hell else. Somebody's got to pay for it. That's the shadow side. It's like life can't be all pleasurable all the time for everyone. Somebody has to work. Somebody has to give up their time, give up their time to labor, to get paid. And in our world, yeah, nobody gets paid what they like. I get paid pretty decently in my job, but I'd like more. But at the same time, I make good. So, I mean, honestly, I'd just like more time to do stuff that besides work. And that's my thing. And it's like I'm having to. That's another thing. It's like it's the same thing. I have to give up time to do something for somebody else to have a good time. Like, but okay, my job is like literally cleaning pools. So I'm like, it's not a bad job. I actually really love my job. But I have to give up 8 to 9 hours of my day to clean pools for somebody else to swim in. You kind of see where I'm going. It's that cycle. You have to give up if somebody wants something, either they have to give up time for it, or they have to pay, or they have to give up money that they've earned from something else to get somebody else to do that thing for them so they can enjoy it. It's all that. That's just our life. And it's like that's how life works. If I want to have time and money, if I want to have money to buy tarot decks, I gotta give up some of my time to go work somewhere. So to give somebody else to go work somewhere, to give somebody else that enjoyment of having a clean pool that they can swim in all the time. And the only way that they can have that is if they give up some of their time and energy to go work somewhere else to make the money to pay me, so I'll clean their pool so I can have money. Okay, so yeah, it gets convoluted. So that archetype, the fool urges us to enjoy life, but all things in moderation. We can't just enjoy life all the time. We can't get into the debauchery of everything has to be constant. I mean, there's some people who can probably afford that, but even then, it's like somebody's got to pay for it. Even if it's not that person specifically, even if they're living off their dad's money, their inherited great granddad like managed to strike gold or whatever, he made a lot of money and they're living off that inheritance. Somebody's still got to work. They still have a business they run. They or not even if they run, they still kind of probably own a business of some sort that they're paying a lot of people who are having to work. And we can go on to inequality and all that, but either way, somebody's always paying for something. So my whole point, just there's no way to have well, there probably would be a way to have a life that's pleasurable for everybody, but we'd still have to work. Like, stuff still has to be done. Now, if we could all do something we enjoyed and get paid properly for it, and have plenty of time off, and everybody had a way to work so that nobody was overworked, that'd be freaking awesome. But we're not there yet. Hopefully soon. Anyway, that went off on a bit of a tangent. And we haven't even got to the actual cards yet, and we're still at about the time that usually this takes. But anyway, so this one's going to be a super long episode. Which, honestly, I plan for these to be long anyway, so I'm not worried about it. If you're worried, I'm sorry. You can always pause it and watch the rest later. So that's all the different parts that I've got of the type of the Fool. So the basic meanings of the Fool is, when it comes up in a reading, is it's time to get a move on, time to go, time to jump. It's like you got you may or may not have everything you need, everything you want. You may or may not have everything you need, but either way, time to go. Go, shoot, off the cliff, go, get on. In reverse or inversed or whatever, it's upside down. It usually is meaning of, okay, you're just being stupid. You need to take a step back and actually wake up and look at stuff. And those are your basic meanings. So now I have... Okay, we're not going to count the angel one, so 5 cards here from 5 different decks. One of them is actually an Oracle deck. So we'll actually start with it. So this is from my Dragon Oracle, and it's the Seeker. So the reason I brought this one up is because the Dragon Oracle is basically the Major Arcana. That's all it is, just 22 Major Arcana cards. Slightly different names than the traditional Major Arcana. So like this one, the Seeker. I like it because it not only gives you a number and a different name, which kind of fits a little bit more, but it also gives you the planets. So, yeah, so that's Uranus, both of the glyphs. For Uranus, some of the other ones will give you the 2 different planet if it's got more than 1 planet, or if it's got an element too. But yeah, I like this one because it starts out as the Seeker, which kind of, it names it the Seeker, which kind of plays into the alchemy. If it's like, the Fool is, he's starting out on his journey. He's at peace with life, and this one plays into, in this deck, it plays into the, that wanting to go and learn things, that you have that pure little, that untempered little ball of wisdom and innocence and light and whatever, and you're ready to go explore. So that's what I like about this one. And then of course, oh my goodness, I was supposed to bring this one up when I was doing the astrology. So this is the Celestial Tarot, Uranus, the Fool. So we have the Fool standing on the hand of Uranus, the god Uranus, here, ready to jump off and go, and Uranus is just kind of giving him an encouraging look, and he's gonna jump into all this. There's like, it kind of looks like clouds or rolling mountains because it's got lights all on it, like they're like a town, kind of like a city or something, but it's like cloud mass. So, you know, it's crazy. And of course, it has the Hebrew letter that's associated with this. I don't know what the letter that is. I should probably look that up. Let's see. Come here. Letters. Okay. Letter. Ah, it's Aleph. Duh. It's A. So yeah, it's Aleph. The Hebrew letter Aleph, the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It's got the glyph for Aquarius there. I don't know if you can see it. It gets blurry when I get too close. So it's got Aquarius, the sign for air. And I'm pretty sure that's Uranus's glyph right there in the middle. And then all the Celestial Tarot have a little glyph for the Kabbalistic Tree of Life right there. You can't see it in this, but anyway. So, yeah, so that's the astrology one. These next 3 are just kind of interesting different takes on it. So I have first off Tarot Favol. I went and looked at the name real fast to make sure it's Tarot Favol. So this is my Marseille style one where she basically did it as an art project. So El Loco, or the Fool, is a child. So that plays into the childlike innocence and purity. He does have the Jester's suit and makeup on, which, well, he's the Fool. He's the one who, he's probably in that In-Person New Clothes. He's not going to sit on his dad's shoulders. He's going to tumble out, stand up, kind of look, and go, why are you naked? That's the feeling I get from this one. He's a bit more, because this is a very grim gothic deck, so Can't see. Let's see if I can do. Yeah. Okay. So there we go. Yeah, shed a little light on him. So yeah. So what I do like, what's interesting is to add to that innocence and purity. He's holding a mask, and there are masks floating in the river in front of him, which is he's unmasked. He's pure. I mean, he's got makeup on, but it's his own face. There's no... That doesn't help. He's not hiding anything. The Fool does not hide. He is bliss and purity. He hides nothing. Um, he is all in himself. So that's kind of what I see with this one is it's unmasked purity. It's that person who's gonna come up and that child is gonna come up and ask the hard questions. Why do you have a scar? Where's your dog? If your dog just died or something, it's that child that's just gonna come up with that simple wisdom and purity and just ask those hard questions. Why are you naked? So it's a bit grim, and not everybody likes grim decks. I do. My family's weird. Yeah, I have a feeling most of my family would like this. I know my sister would. Um, yeah, it's a little grim, but honestly, even though the deck itself is pretty grim, like I said, this one's just it's pure. It's a little bit a little bit less in your face bright type feels. That it's that somber side of the Fool that is just kind of why instead of ooh, let's go over there, or why. It's just kind of why. So that's kind of the feeling from that one. This next one is from the Tarot of the Old Path. And this one is interesting because it's a full scene, and the Fool is not going off the cliff. The Fool, well, that's a good question. Where's the Fool? Because we have here the character who looks like your traditional archetype of the Fool wandering off. He's off to new adventures, new heights, new great lengths, and whatnot. We have this baby here who's reaching his hand into a fire. So that could be considered foolish. Such childish innocence and purity of, ooh, it's bright. I want to touch it. It looks so pretty. That was kind of me as a kid, but luckily I learned about fire enough that I knew better than to actually try to touch it. And of course his mom's sitting here freaking out like, don't put your hand in the fire. And we get kind of the feeling from this scene that this is her husband, and he's leaving them to just go off on his own grand adventure. Or I mean, maybe he's... I mean, that's what my first impression is. This is her husband, and he's leaving off on his own thing, and she's stuck with this, trying to raise this baby in a world. This baby who's got probably his same lackadaisical, curious nature, curious, unworried nature, and she's got to raise this kid by herself. So that's pretty freaky. And she could even be a fool. She may not have had kids before, and she's not at all prepared for them. And she let her baby naked go crawling off on the ground, and wasn't even watching him, as we can tell, because he's sticking his hand in the fire, and she's coming running, so she wasn't watching him very closely. She was probably off doing whatever, so maybe she's a fool. Or maybe this ptarmigan's a fool. Quail. It's a quail, not a ptarmigan. But yeah, so this one's an interesting scene of it's like, which fool are you? They're all kind of fools. And it's like, yeah, this one doesn't even need to be inverted to give you the shadow side of, hey, be careful. You could be doing something stupid. It's like, have that innocence, purity, be ready to go and whatnot, but, don't be dumb. I wouldn't even know. Maybe inverse, I'd say, you're being dumb. You need a... when you're... the way I'm thinking about it is when you're riding horses. So you sit up straight, and You're sitting up straight. You're kind of leaning forward when you're on a horse. Just, let me show you from the side. So, well, you might not be able to see very well. So, when you're on a horse, you sit up kind of like this. You're pushed forward a little bit, right? When you stop, you might pull the reins a little bit, but you sit back and down. That's the main thing that signals for the horse to stop, is that you're sitting back and down. However, if your horse is going like really fast and not listening to you, you're gonna do this. Like, you're gonna sit and you're gonna pull and you're gonna just whoa. So that's how I see this in reverse, is that it's not a whoa, it's a whoa. Alright, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. So, yeah, anyway, this one, I do like that this has so many different, it's got all of the different sides of the Fool in this card. Alright, so the last one I have is, of course, my Vice Versa. I can't live without these guys, I swear. So, this one is epic, honestly, because, not only do we have the Fool walking off the cliff, bad light, okay. Totally have this working. Brightness. Not only do you have the Fool walking off the cliff, but I love the Vice Versa because it is so rich in symbolism. Your Fool, the Fool here, I don't know if you can really see it. Come on. Focus. No, it's not gonna focus. Okay, so you can't really see it from here, but he's blind. Like, he's blind. He is blind, he's walking off into the sunset, or probably a sunset, just given those colors. Sunset, there's a desert here, he's headed off towards the cliff, and he's leaving so much behind. Just right here, we have the cup, or the goblet, chalice, I want to say chalice of wisdom, like, I've always thought kind of like, you know, the chalices in the tarot suit of, just the chalices. Okay, this thing's dying so bad. The chalices, emotions, cups, the suit, or whatever. But I'm wondering if this instead, because that's the only one that's there, the symbolism that looks like any of the suits, if that's instead your goblet. What is it called? The goblet from the legends, from the Arthurian legends. Goblet of Eternal Youth. It wasn't the Goblet of Eternal Youth or whatever. It was the thing they were looking for that had, they'll basically give them full wisdom or eternal youth or whatever the hell it was. So basically, he's leaving that behind. He's leaving that. He's gone on his. It's almost like he's gone on his quest. He's attained the goblet. He's become a hero and whatnot, and he's leaving that behind. He just dropped it. He's leaving it behind. And then the reason why that, the other reason I kind of think that is because here is, yeah, there we go, a crown. So that right there, it's a crown. It's like he's a king or a prince or something. He's a hero. He was crowned, and he's just leaving it all behind. And even more in that symbolism is, on this thing is the lily, which is a symbol of purity, innocence, and death. With purity and innocence for the most part, but also we send lilies to funerals. It's also a symbol of death for a lot of us. And it's shedding its flowers, so it's dying. That purity and innocence is getting left behind, or... well, that doesn't make sense. He's shedding one form of purity and innocence for a whole new one. He's got, I don't know if you can quite see it, but he's got, he has a snake on his staff, and a snake is a symbol of transformation and rebirth. So, this card is just rich of symbolism of a new beginning, right here. And then, of course, it's like, it looks like all barren desert right here, but that's behind him. If we flip to the other side, he's walking into the night. He's leaving the dawn and the desert behind him, and he's walking into a rich forest. And he's got his faithful companion with him. There's a shooting star showing him the way, which, I mean, he's blind. He probably can't see it, like, physically. I mean, in this case, tarot is just symbolism. So in this case, you could even say he intuitively knows his star is there, leading him the way. It's that shooting star. You wish upon a star. You wish upon a shooting star. It's that wish, that new beginning. It's just this, and then of course we can still see the chalice and the crown and the snake and his bag. But here we have the faithful companion of the dog. So this is. So whereas in a reading, I would interpret this of take that leap of blind faith, just go for it. Yeah, look, it doesn't look too great. Maybe you can't, I mean, obviously you can't see anything really, but from what you can kind of feel out, it probably isn't going to be too great. Go for it anyway. On this side, I'd say, yeah, you're worried. You don't quite want to take that leap, even though it looks really good ahead of you. You don't want to quite take it, but you're supportive. You've got that support of the dog right there on your back. He's there at your heels. It's like, go for it. And that's what I say if this came up in a reading. Either way. So this is like, just take that chance. Yeah, what little you can see looks kind of sucky right now, but just do it. This side, I'd be like, yeah, you're worried, even though it looks good, but you've got support. You can do it. Don't worry. So, oh, excuse me. I think that's everything I got for today. Well, this is already over an hour. Sweet. Okay, so that's the Fool. Like I said, next next 2 Sundays, no episodes. I'll be out of town next week, and then the week after that is the first Sunday. So, oops, wrong way. No episode anyway. And then we'll be back on the 13th with the Two of Wands. And then, yeah, so, to wrap this up, if you enjoy listening to me talk, if you're interested in getting a reading with me, of any, whether online, over the phone, I might be able to do over the phone, we'll see, online, over the phone, in person, find me on Facebook at Bags and Omens, shoot me a message, or email me at bagsandOmens@gmail.com. Full and word on Facebook, it's an ampersand. Message me through there. In-person readings, I read at Strega, the Witches Workshop here in Sierra Vista, on Sundays from 11 to 5. So, online readings, contact me if you want one. We'll set something up. If you don't want a reading, but you enjoy what I'm doing, you want to see a little bit more of my work, you can find me on Intuitive Tarot Read on Facebook, and I do Monday through Friday. I do a daily card draw in the morning. If you want me for a reading, don't contact me through there, because that's actually a friend tarot readers page. So if you want a reading from me, find me on my page, which is Bags and Omens. And you know, hey, follow me there. I put up these videos, and then of course every time I sell a new tarot bag, I put one up. If you're interested in the tarot bag from me, hold off on it. I'm not doing commission. I'm trying to finish up a couple commissions, and then I'm going to take a break for a while and just do some of my own creative stuff. So I will be sewing stuff, and you'll see new stuff put up. Hopefully I actually get some drive to do it and get stuff up, and then they'll be available to buy once I finish my commissions up. Yeah, find me on Intuitive, and then if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're watching it through my page, check out my YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. I'm always interested. I enjoy knowing there's people out there that are interested in what I'm talking about, and that I'm not just talking to thin air. I mean, I do have a few views, but you know, I just like to know that people are actually interested in what I have to say. So yeah, those three, and then I set up a Patreon page. It's Patreon slash Bags and Omens. I just search Bags and Omens. It shouldn't be hidden. I'll try to find the actual link and put it in the description below. Um, yeah, I have a Patreon. I have different tiers. I mean, if you enjoy what I'm doing and you just want to kind of shoot me some money to support me for like the video service I use, and then you know maybe give me some incentive to work more on sewing stuff. Um, okay, so the main reason I set up Patreon, um, if you want to support me, I have 4 different tiers. I have a $3 tier, which is just a hey, you enjoy seeing me, seeing my face, listening to me talk, and you just want to send me some money to help pay for videos and whatnot. So I have that $3 tier, and then I have a $7 tier, which you know you really enjoy my work, and with that, I will also send you a 3 card reading once a month personalized for you. So it's a monthly, basically just a monthly overview of what your month ahead kind of looks like. It's 3 cards. Um, and I'm not doing any of these kind of full readings because, you know, if you want a full reading, message me. So that's the $7 tier, and then I have a $10 tier, I believe it is. That is a 2-card weekly reading for your week ahead. So every week you'll get a 2-card reading for kind of a general overview of what your week ahead looks like. And then I do have, just kind of for the hell of it, a $20 tier, which is you get that 2-card weekly reading as well as a 5-card monthly reading. So you'll get, basically at the start of each month, you'll get a monthly overview read with 5 cards, and then every Sunday you'll get a weekly read, 2 cards. And honestly, much as that's incentive for people to pay me money, it's also, I really love reading tarot cards, and I want to do it more often, and I really, really want to read for people. So, you know, it's a win-win situation where I get to read tarot cards for people I might hardly ever see, and you guys get to support all this. Okay, not all this, but all this. And probably a little bit of this. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, check me out on Patreon. It's Bags and Omens with an ampersand. On Patreon, shoot me an email if you feel like it. If you've got questions. BagsandOmens@gmail.com. Just all one word. Like, comment, and subscribe here on YouTube. Follow my page, Bags and Omens on Facebook, and yeah, check me out on Intuitive as well if you want. And that is everything, I believe. So it's been awesome. I hope you all enjoyed this as much as I did. I got way more into it than I thought I did, with way less prep than I had for my Ace of Wands. I'm bad at prep. I'm so bad at prep. But anyway, I will see you all in 2 weeks. So until then, have fun, stay safe, enjoy your life, and just, yeah, put a little fool energy into your lives. Don't go overboard, but, you know, remember, life sucks, life's a bitch, but, you know, it's pretty freaking awesome, too. Man, there's gotta be some reason I've had, like, I've lived a bunch of times, and life's pretty damn cool. Sometimes you just need to find what you need, what it is that reminds you of that, so go find that. Go find a reason to enjoy life, even if it's just like, you know what? My cat is hilarious. Even if it's just something like that, you know what? If it makes life enjoyable, it's worth it. So, go enjoy life. Have fun. And I'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Alright, bye.